So we are diving into the fascinating world of glitch effects, aiming to decipher what creates their captivating allure. My take: glitches occur when the targeted element, such as text node, video transition, or just a video, unpredictably shift positions, often accompanied by distortions. To achieve this, especially within Fusion, we will be leveraging nodes that manipulate the positions. The transform node is our go-to, but we can also experiment with nodes like blur, glow, and raise for added flair. With that being said, let's head over to the computer and get started. Let's start building our nodes and let's start working with our animation. And let's not forget, I'm also going to be working with expressions. Ever since I started using expressions, it seems to just come up in every situation nowadays. Okay, so don't be overwhelmed. I'm going to also elaborate on how and why I'm going to be using each expressions with this video that I'm creating. Okay, so let's head to the computer and let's get started. So now we are on DaVinci and we are on our edit page. So I'm going to expand our preview so that way you could actually see what I am going to recreate. So this is it right here. Okay, it's as simple as that, but obviously we need to put some work in. Okay, so I'm going to go to Fusion. I've already created this, but we are going to start from the beginning. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to group this. Okay, I'm going to group all of these. Okay, Command G to group, and I'm going to rename this glitch. Let me just call this glitch 1. Okay, so this is glitch 1. All right, so we are going to start from the beginning. Okay, so now we have media out. I'm going to drag this far away from the scene. Usually you can start with text node, but I'm going to start with a background node just because I'm going to reduce the alpha and just start. Okay, so I'm going to just connect the background node to the media out, and I'm going to go to the inspector and I'm going to reduce the alpha. Okay, so that way the background node is not going to affect any other thing. Okay, but I could have started with the text node, but at some point I'm gonna still have to do this. I'm just gonna do this at the beginning. Okay, so I don't have to think about the background node. All right, so the text node is going to be our foreground. Okay, we got our text node. All right, so I'm gonna write something here. Well, if you've been following my page, you could predict what I'm going to put in here. So I'm going to put in here Kingsley 3121, and I'm going to look for basement. I'm looking for the basement grotesque. Okay, all right, and I'm going to connect. Okay, I'm not going to connect this yet, but I'm going to put the preview here. So let's make it this size. I think this size is cool enough. Okay, the color, I'm not going to worry about the color right now. Okay, because we got bigger fish to fry. Okay, but let's make this just a tiny bit better. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just bring a transform node. Okay, so this is transform node. All right, so the idea here is I'm going to make some area just move away from the main area. Okay, so in two places I'm going to make it move away in a different direction. Okay, so I'm going to add max to transform because I'm trying to move a certain portion of the text node. Okay, so I'm going to put max here. Okay, the rectangular max. Okay, because I want it to be rectangular. All right, so I'm going to zoom in to make it more accurate. Okay, so it's going to be, I'm going to keep it somewhere around here at the top. Okay, I think that's cool. So what I'm going to do here, just for efficiency's sake, I'm going to copy this to nodes and I'm going to paste it out here. I'm trying to think if I should do paste or paste instant. You know what, I'm going to paste instant. Okay, after that I'm also going to boom, transform. Okay, so now transform just is going to be what's going to transform everything. Like this transform, I put it here because it's going to transform everything. All right, the transform here is only going to transform this, and this transform is only going to transform this. Okay, but this transform here is going to transform everything. All right, so that's why I have to put that transform there. Okay, so I'm going to connect the node because I'm going to start working with the output. I need the output to be the viewer. All right, so everything needs to be connected in order to reach the media out. So if you disconnect anything, you are not going to see it on the media out. Okay, so the first structure is already set. Okay, so our first distortion. Okay, so but the thing is, I want rectangular 2 in a different position. So what we're going to do now is we are going to this instance, the center. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this down, okay, because I don't want it to be in the same location, which is why I actually brought this. So I'm going to put this a little bit here. Boom. Okay, so everything else have the same value. By the way, when you copy and paste instance, what that means is they're both going to be the same thing. Not only that, if you make any changes to one, the other is also going to change. Okay, so it's like if you make any animation, the other one automatically changes as well. But you could always this instant anything that you don't want to affect. Okay, so let's say for example, I just this instant the center. So now the center is no longer connected. But if I change anything that have this green markings around it, the other mask is also going to do the same. What we're gonna do now is we are going to go to rectangular 1 and we are going to be changing the center. Okay, so again, remember I have a transform node. So what this means is if I move this now, do you see what happens? Those areas that I selected is being moved, but not the entire text node. Okay, that's why I had to put a max in the transform node in order to move a particular area of the text node. Okay, this is where it gets interesting. Okay, so the reason why the both are moving is because the paste instance. So I'm going to have to remove the paste instance of center X as well, so that way it's not the exact same copy. That's the reason for it, because I want one to go one way and I want the other to go the other way. So if I still have the paste instance, they are going to go the same way. Okay, so now that I removed it, if I move this now, it's only one is moving and not the other. Okay, so I'm going to start with a transform 4. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to make one portion move left and one move right, just a little bit. Okay, just to create the distortions. All right, again, remember this is a glitch effect, so we want a little bit of distortions. Okay, I could use keyframes to do it, you know, to animate this position here, position there. Okay, but again, ever since I've started using expressions, it's like now I just like to use expressions, but you don't always have to use expressions, especially if you're not that in tune or it doesn't come as easy for you. We could just use keyframes, okay, just animations. All right, but me, I'm going to stick to expressions. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to center. I'm going to right click expressions, and I'm going to write the expressions that I wrote in my glitch 1. Okay, so what I'm trying to change here is the X value. So the Y value is always going to be 0.5. Let's start. And I'm going to use the if function, okay, because it's going to be a condition. By the way, you could easily do this with keyframes, but the reason why I specifically use expression for this is because I want the other transform node to move in uniform. So that's kind of why I did use expressions. Even though they're moving 2 separate ways, I still want it to be uniform. So that's why I use expressions. So I'm going to show you the expressions to use. All right, so we're going to use the if function. Okay, so if bracket, okay, time. We're going to leave the points alone because we're only working with the X center. So the X is the only thing that we are going to mess with here. Okay, if time is less than 40, we give a bracket. So what do you want if time is less than 40? If you checked out my previous videos, when I was talking about expressions, I didn't work with sine, or I don't know if you call it sin or sine, whatever one you call it, is cool by me. This is one of the formulas that I actually used, okay? And you know, like I said, sine goes from -1 to 1, but this formula, I'm going to change the offset because our center is 0.5. So going from -1 to 1 is going to be a big jump, okay? And we don't want that, so we're going to change the offset, okay? And I'm going to tell you exactly where I change the offset, okay? So we're going to start with absolute. Also remember, when you use absolute, it doesn't go to minus, okay? So every negative value gets changed to positive value, okay? So that's why we use absolute, okay? So what that does is shorten the movement as well. Then we're going to give another bracket. We're going to put sine. Then we're going to give another bracket. And now we are going to put time divided by 9.8. And by the way, guys, this number, I had to play with a lot of numbers. I put 10, put 11, put 12, and I was trying to gauge what speed that I need. And 9.8 was that speed that I wanted, okay? So sometimes you still have to play with the numbers just to check out what number suits your speed. That's the speed, okay? But now I'm going to multiply that by 0.2. So the multiplications and adding, this is where you change the positions, okay? So 0.2, and I'm also going to add 0.4. So when you add 0.4, that changes where it starts. When you add 0.4, that means it's going to start from 0.4. And when you multiply it by 2, what happens is, so it's going to move 0.2 places in both directions. Then when you add 0.4, it's going to start from 0.4. So when you add it, that's when you change the positions. It sounds, I know how it sounds sometimes, but it sounds like it's like, huh? What are you saying? But it's not as hard as you think it is, okay? Again, let me explain that one more time. When you multiply by 0.2, let's say the position is at 0.2 and you multiply by 0.2 and you use the sign, okay? So let's say you've already gotten the speed. Let's say you use sine bracket time divided by 9.8, okay? So you got the speed. When you multiply it by 0.2, what happens is, because it's moving back and forth, so in both directions, it's going 0.2 this way and it's going 0.2 that way. That's what happens with the multiplication. But when you use addition, like I did, I added 0.4. What that means, instead of starting from 0, it's not going to start from 0.4, okay? So boom, you've changed the offset. I hope that made sense, and if it doesn't, I'm still going to explain at a later time. So that's the thought behind those formulas. The thing is, it sounds like it's complicated, but not really. As a matter of fact, once you get used to it, you might not actually want to use keyframe no more. No more keyframes. Not really. You still want to use keyframes sometimes, but boom. Okay, so something is wrong here. What's coding without getting something wrong? Okay, I see what I did wrong. Not comma. Boom. Okay, so right now, let me just play it so you guys can see what's going on right now. Damn, why is my computer slow? Okay, because I'm recording. Remember, the formula is when it's less than 40, that's when that happens. But when it's after 40, it stops happening, okay? So that's also what the formula says, okay? Now, let's head to the other one. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to select this. So Control A to select everything, then Control C to copy. All right, so I'm going to go to our next transform. All right, so we've already the instant this, okay? So we are going to use expressions. All right, so we're going to do this. Control A, just delete this, V. But what's going to happen is I'm going to change the sign to cosine, which is COS. So the sign goes from -1 to 1, while cosine goes from 1 to -1. So they do the same thing, except they go in a different direction. That's also why I use expressions, okay? So it's going to be the same speed, but one is going the other way and one is going the other way. So they're going to be doing this. Okay, so that's why I removed the instance. Okay, I did instance the center only. Okay, so I'm going to change the sign to cosine. Okay, and that's the only thing I did. So now look, now they're both going in two different directions. Okay, so guys, my computer is acting up because I'm using the OBS Studio, and I'm also using DaVinci, so I guess it's being overwhelmed, so it's not as smooth. We are done with our first distortions. Okay, so I'm using 30 frames per second, so that's over a little over 1 second. Okay, you could make it longer if that's what you want. Okay, the thing about this is to learn how to do it, so that way you could do it to your own taste. So we are done with this 2 transform node. Okay, but we also going to go with transform 3. Okay, so with transform 3, now this becomes just customizing. Okay, but it's also customizing it to have that glitch effect. Okay, so what we're gonna do here now is trying to make the size just go in and out. You know, we're gonna try to match the speed. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just as close as possible. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here now, I'm gonna write a formula. If time is less than 65, absolute. Again, we don't want it to go negative. So absolute is sine time divided by 5.9. Okay, so we close bracket. We have 2 brackets. Guys, remember to have the same amount of brackets. Okay, we have 2 with the time and sine. So close bracket, and we are going to multiply that by 0.3 and add 0.7. So if it's not less than 65, the original value is 1. Okay, so the formula is if is less than 65, if time is less than 65. If not, let 1 be the size. Okay, we put it back to 1. Okay, put enter. So now the size is going to just be warping back and forth. All right, so far so good, but we have one more thing to do here. So this time around, I'm going to use keyframes for this, just because I could use expressions as well, but sometimes there are certain times that keyframes is actually easier to use than expressions. I'm not sure if it's actually easier here, but for some reason my brain is saying keyframe is easier. All right, so we are going to go to center X, but this time we are actually going to use keyframes. So we're going to start from 20. Okay, and we're going to write keyframe here. Boom, we're going to start. We're going to go to 21, and we're going to change the position. So let's say 0.559 for this position and 0.695. Okay, boom. So I just changed that position. Remember, it's still going back and forth. Everything is all working together. Okay, now we're going to go to 22. So we are going to go to 22 now. Okay, and we're going to change the position as well. Okay, so that's 22, just Control A, and we're going to change that to 0.375, and we're going to change the Y to 0.231. By the way, these positions are just kind of random, so I just picked the random positions. Okay, so at 23, we're going to change it again back to 0.5. Okay, so 0.5. So we're going to go to 28. We're going to go to 28. We're going to start back here again. Then we're going to go to 30. So this time we jump by 2 frames instead of 1 frame. We're going to change this to 0.587. Go to the Y center and change that to 0.183. And now we're going to jump to 32. And we're going to change this again to 0.424 for the X, and for the Y we're going to change that to 0.761. Enter. Okay, so we're going to go to 34, change the X to 0.491, to change the Y to 0.125. Enter. And I know it's kind of long. I get it. But this is the last one to frame 36. And we're going to go back to the original position, which is 0.5. And we are done with the keyframes. Okay. It has that glitch effect, just going at random places. Okay, so we are done with the randomness. All right, so now we are just going to add the blurs, okay, to make it look just a little bit nicer. All right, so we are going to go with the first kind of blur. Is it prism blur? Is that what they call? I don't know how to pronounce that, so if I'm butchering the words, you can excuse me. All right, don't hold me to it. All right, guys, so PRI, yeah, there we go, prism blur. Is that what it is? We're gonna add that. Bang. And we are also going to add another kind of blur as well. So we got two different kind of blurs. Mosaic blur. Boom. Let's just start to animate these as well. So we're going to start to animate the prism blur. I'm going to do it within the movement. So I'm going to start with frame 15. I'm going to change this to 0.354. Enter. Change that to 0.37. Change this to 0.528. Okay, so that's the ones I'm going to be changing, and I'm going to animate these, and I'm going to take this to 0, and I'm going to, after frame 15, we're going to do frame 35. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reduce this just a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to reduce the first one to 0.094. Okay, reduce this to 0.102, then reduce the other to 0.205. Okay, then I'm going to go to frame 42, and I'm going to take them back to 0. Now the thing is, I could have just started from 15 and just go to frame 42 and just go to 0. Why I did this like this is because when I do this, so this is going to go with different speed. So from here to here, it's going to decrease by the length from 15 to 35. Okay, so the length is longer. So what happened is it's going to take time for the effects to happen from 15 to 35, but then from 35 to 40 it's going to be quick. So that's why I did it like that. So it's just to change the speed of the effect. Okay, the blur effect. We are done with the prism blur. Let's go to the mosaic blur. Okay, so with mosaic blur at frame 5, I'm going to start with 1600. Hit enter. So I'm going to keyframe this. Then when I go to 0, I'm going to put this at 0. Okay, so boom. Okay, so that's our first animation. Then we're going to go to 10, and we're going to keyframe this 10. Then go to 11. Then we're going to put this 11 at 51. Okay, 51. Then we're going to go to 13. We're going to go to 13, and we're going to put the 0.2. Then go to 15. We're going to go to 15, and we are going to put back that 1600. Boom. Well, we're going to jump to 24, and we are going to keyframe at 1600. Then go to 26. Go to 26 and go put 177. Go to 27. I'm going to put 0.2. Bang. Then we're going to go to 30 and put back the 1600. Basically, that's where we started from. Okay, so we are done with the mosaic blur, and we're done with the prism blur. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring another background. Okay, and I'm going to connect the background to, so I'm going to boom. What I did here is I used everything I just did as a mask to the background. Okay, so everything here turns into a mask to the background. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the settings. Okay, so go to the channel, change that to luminance. Okay, so when you do that, okay, we're going to put this in here. Okay, so we're going to change this to gradients, change this to linear. Okay, so guys, I forgot to let you guys know that you're gonna have to change the first element on the shading with the text, change the appearance to outline. Okay, then go to the second element and change the appearance to solid. Okay, so I forgot to let you guys know that at the beginning. Okay, so let's go back to the background here. Okay, so now we could change the colors to our desired color. Okay, so I'm going to change this to this. Okay, and this is the color that I choose. I'm gonna leave that as white. Okay, but maybe I should move this a little bit. I am cool with that. Okay, let's move ahead. Let's put this back to the media out. We are gonna connect this to the line back again, but we're gonna go back here, and now we are going to add the rays. Okay, so this is where you could add rays, you could add glows to just make it to your own taste. Okay, so I'm gonna add the rays. So I'm gonna look for rays here. The rays that I'm going to add is the second one, but if you prefer the light rays, you could use it as well, but I prefer these. So I'm going to add the rays, and this is what you get. Okay, with the rays, what's going to happen here is we are going to increase the weight a little bit to 6.2. Just make it a little bit bright. Okay, the exposure, we'll reduce it just a little bit. Oh, that's fine. And the threshold, you know what, we are going to come back to that for a reason, because remember we have all kind of animation already, and we want this at a specific time. We don't want this glow from the beginning to end, so we are going to pick a specific time for the glows, okay, and the rays. So we are going to add glows as well. So let's add glow, shift space bar. Okay, let's add glow. Okay, so glow does intensify the shine just a little bit. If you want it even more intense, you could add one more glow to make it even more brighter, but for me this is enough. Okay, we are going to go ahead and continue with our timing. What's going to happen here is we are going to animate this glow. Okay, so let's start with the glow. At 34, we want this glow to be 0. So we're going to put everything 0. This is where the glow is going to start. Then we're going to go to 35. Actually, the glow is going to start at 25. We're going to put this at 6.3, 6.3. By the way, you could always put your own number, whatever number you feel comfortable with. That's what you're going to put. Then the glow is 0.843. Hit enter. We're going to go back to 55. That's where it's going to end. And we're going to start another keyframe. And we're going to go to frame 60. And we are going to end the glow. So we're going to put the glow back at 0. Okay, so what that did is just the glow just started from a certain point and end at a certain point. Okay, because we don't want that glow to be everywhere. We are going to go back to ray, and the reason why is now we are going to use expressions to track the animations of glow. So we did that because we don't want to redo those animations. I mean, you can, but why do it if you could use expressions to track those animations? We could just do a quick expressions here to track that. So if the if function, which is a very useful function, by the way. Okay, so if glow, the name of the node is glow2. Okay, so if glow2 that we did use two parameters, so you could just use one to track the time. Okay, so it's easier to use glow. If glow2 points glow is more than 0, then 0 is true. If not, 1 is true. Then you close brackets, hit enter. Okay, so something is wrong here. Okay, it's a capital letter. The G is a small g. We're gonna have to make that a capital letter. Okay, so hit enter. Boom, the race is going to track the timing of the glow. So as you can see, expressions do come in handy. We are almost done, so we have one more thing to do, and that's to animate the latest. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to test, and I'm going to be at 40. I'm going to put this at 40. I'm going to head to the text element, text 1. Okay, so I'm going to change this color now to the same color that I used prior. Okay, but the thing is, I'm also going to change this. Okay, the outline. I'm going to change it from outline from 40 frame. Then we're going to go to 35, change it back to solid. So what happened is it's going to be solid here. We're almost done. So after the numbers ends moving around, we could add just a little shake to it. Just give it a wiggle to make it look even better. So what we're going to do now, we are going to add camera shake to it. Okay. We're just going to start from 80. Let's reduce the Y just a little bit. I don't want the Y to move that much. Overall strength. To reduce the rotation a little bit. Increase the randomness a little bit. Overall strength, reduce it just a little bit. So let's see how that works. That's fine. So what we're going to do now is from 80, right? We are going to start to animate everything here. Okay. And take it to 60, and put everything to 0. Well, we did that because we don't want this animations or this effect below 60. Okay, so boom, 60. Then we're going to go back to 85 and put it back again at 0. All these effects are going to happen from 60 to 85. Okay, this is it. I know it looks like we did a lot here, but in all honesty, I just added a bunch of random stuff just to make it even more interesting. It's not actually that complicated, but I just added extra stuff to make it look nicer. Guys, this is it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you learned something, make sure to subscribe. And if you want to know when our next video is coming up, hit that bell button and I'll catch you on the next one.